Inside the Arena is presented by Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, Seattle's closest sportsbook.
Welcome to Inside the Arena, your source for everything off the ice, off the court, and outside the field of play. With your hosts, KOMO Sports Director Niko and KOMO Senior Reporter Chris Daniels.
The big 4-0, buddy.
Yeah.
Everybody's applauding. 40th episode.
Wow.
Of Inside the Arena.
I feel better about turning 40 last month now.
Congratulations.
I mean, nobody would have guessed it, but...
Forget 30 for 30, 40 for 40.
Hey.
Hey-o.
Oh, I like that.
And we have had a busy week off the ice, off the court, off the field of play,
You think?
Yeah.
Well, couldn't we have spread these stories out over a few days? The fact that on the same day, okay, we expected Tyler Lockett being released. I mean, Tyler expected that when we talked to him in January. The DK Metcalf trade request, that was a surprise, even if it, isn't the hugest shock in the world. And, oh, by the way, Ron Francis is trading away guys for draft picks now, and that is a potential sign of waving the white flag on this 24-25 season. So, yeah.
These are all franchise-altering moves,
Huge.
Right? I mean, for the Kraken to make a move like that, it's, again, betting on the future, taking away a couple of your marketable guys, including one who was an assistant captain.
Yeah, who doesn't love Yanni Gord?
And Yanni was, I think a lot of people would have loved to have seen him at one point be the captain. I mean,
that was actually my, no disrespect to Ebbs, but that was my vote.
Yeah, Pepper Pot. He was the guy who stirred it up and really was a team leader. He's traded away, and the Kraken now, again, betting on the future with a couple of number one draft picks. That is the kind of move that in the front office on the day-to-day basis, you're like, okay, how do we market this team? How do we sell this team? It's going to be different and could be even there could be more changes ahead.
Well, as I was listening to our friends Bump and Stacy over at Seattle Sports Radio, and Curtis, their producer, Curtis Rogers, he said, "Oh, how nice of Ron Francis to acquire draft picks for the next GM." I was like, "Ooh, that's cold, but maybe not untrue."
Ouch, ouch, and we saw a lot of these folks at Sports Star of the Year, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah, listen, and I'm let me just go back in that last thing. I love Ron Francis. I think he's a great GM, and he knows how to draft for sure. I mean, look at the guys like Shane Wright and Matty Beniers. So I like the move on that surface. And you think about it, these are guys that are going to be in Seattle sports for a long time to come. And Matty's got a long contract. Shane probably will get there at some point too. And maybe we'll see them at the Seattle Sports Star of the Year Awards one day, right?
Well, you saw Jessica Campbell with the Kraken. She got the big award there. You also talked with the likes of UW athletic director. It's still tough for me to say that. Pat Chun. And Gary Payton also at the Sports Star of the Year. Those interviews coming up. And we do have a special surprise, the first World Cup song.
How about that?
For Seattle, a Seattle-specific song that is part of FIFA World Cup 2026.
It's getting real.
People are going to be able to hear it only and first on Inside the Arena.
Yeah.
But that's coming up. We're going to talk a lot in this show. But what we like to do every week, we like to talk about what's good, what's bad, off the court, off the ice, off the field of play. It's Four Corners. Niko, what is good this week?
I have a surprise for Chris Daniels.
Oh boy.
I don't know. Bill, producer Bill, pull me up on the camera here.
Oh, wow.
Found this at DJ Sports Card.
Wow.
Lenny Wilkins, 7980 card.
Is that in mint condition?
It is, and it has tips from the Sonics on the back about the 3-second rule. It's brought to you by Rainier Bank and Coca-Cola.
Wow.
Chris, it tells you have rules that you're supposed to obey today as well. Breaking the rules can result in loss of privileges, friends, and the amount of trust that your parents have in you.
Wow.
There you go.
That
all
is
for
something.
you.
Lenny, coach, director of player personnel.
Isn't that cool?
Wow.
And shout out to my friends at DJ Sports Cars. They came across it. They knew I would love it. And I said, you know who might love this even more is my good buddy, Chris Daniels.
Well, thank you. Sponsored by the Washington State Crime Prevention Association.
There you go. And even explains the 3-second, 3 in the key rule.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Niko.
So that's what I like this week.
Yeah, well, you know what else I like?
Go ahead.
I like a couple of the people who did not win at Sports Star.
Let's mention those. There's some really good folks.
I got to tell you, no offense to any Olympic gymnast, but Sarah Lessig from Garfield High School, she was nominated as a female sports star of the year. And what I love about what the Seattle Sports Commission does is they are recognizing prep athletes, high school athletes, college athletes, professional athletes, all under one umbrella. And that's what they did. We saw what happened with Female Sports Star of the Year, but Sarah Lessig from Garfield High School, I mean, let's just give her a shout out for being a nominee. I just got to, I read this and I'm like, how does anybody even compare that was nominated? Multi-sport athlete at Garfield, straight A student, more than 30 Division I coaches who for college basketball have offered her scholarships, 6'3". She touts impressive stats in multiple sports, baseball, softball, flag football, skateboarding, named 2024 first team All-Metro, helped Garfield win 3 of the last 4 consecutive 3A state championships. Softball, competed as a All-American in the Women's Baseball Classic, invited to several invite-only events, U.S. national team tryouts, pitches for the Garfield High School boys team, 81-mile-an-hour fastball, skateboarding, sponsored by multiple brands, filmed a promo for Nike, and the quarterback of the flag football team.
Anything else?
I mean, no offense to anybody else who won awards. Come on now.
And that's what's really cool about the Sports Star of the Year awards. You have an amazing person like that. Jordan Childs, of course, won it. Hannah Mall. Let's talk about her from UW. I mean,
you did the story.
Yeah, it's one of the most favorite stories I've ever done in my entire career. You go because she has her twin sister Amanda on the team as well. Last year, Hannah won the national championship. Really impressive stuff. As a freshman at UW, they're among the best in the world. And then you have Amanda setting the NCAA record 2 weeks ago. I mean, how crazy is that? Clearing 16 feet in the pole vault, just a little range away from the world record. Only 4 American women of any level have cleared 16 feet in the pole vault. Amanda Mall is one of them. But Hannah was also a nominee for a Sports Star of the Women Athlete of the Award. So, yes, Jordan Childs won and deservedly so in so many respects. But the nominees could have easily won just as it was really impressive to see that.
Help me out. Why did Childs say "Go Dogs" though at the end? She said "Go Dogs." I thought she was a Bruin.
I don't know.
And she's from Vancouver. That's why I just wanted to give a shout out to Sarah Lessig over.
Sarah's incredible. No question about it.
Okay, so good stuff. More in the Sports Star in just a second. What didn't you like this week?
Yeah, I would say what I didn't like, and it's nobody's fault. Like, I'm not blaming anybody here at all. I want to make that clear off the top. But what I did not like was the idea that this earlier this weekend, Wednesday, was supposed to be Tyler Lockett's celebration day. It's sad. Everybody in the world knew he was being released, that we talked about. And the Seahawks did a really nice job with posts on X, and they changed their avatar, their profile picture to the Lockett 16 jersey. I mean, Wednesday was going to be Tyler Lockett celebration day for a decade of giving to Seattle and being just a real hero. I mean, and I don't like to use that word because I think it's overused, but he really is on and off the field for Seattle sports. And yet the DK Metcalf trade news comes out. I am not blaming DK. DK probably really hates that came out on the same day. He and Tyler are close, and DK is a stand-up individual. He really is. So I want to make that clear. I'm not like knocking DK, but I just hate that came out on the same day as Tyler Lockett Day, what was supposed to be Tyler Lockett Day. And then it inevitably gets overshadowed because, the DK part was somewhat at least unexpected. And so that's what everybody rightfully has to talk about.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like that Tyler didn't get, and he will, and he'll be in the Ring of Honor one day and all of that stuff. But I just hate it for that one day. It couldn't be all about a great man in Tyler Lockett.
And Lockett has done a lot in the community, just like Doug Baldwin before him, and both playing for the Seahawks. Both have, we'll see if Tyler sticks around. It'd be great to have Tyler stick around in the community as well. I'll tell you what I don't like, and this is where it gets kind of complicated. It involves the Mariners and also potentially the Sonics.
Okay.
Are you ready for me to lead you down this road?
Well, I'm usually the one who has a rant here. Is this a rant?
Yeah, well, it's going to take us right into the Supersonic Minute.
Let's have it.
So Major League Baseball, nice article. I'm going to give some props to Jared Diamond and Isabella Simonetti of the Wall Street Journal, talking about what Major League Baseball is now trying to do in this cord-cutting world, this environment. Of course, ESPN and Major League Baseball have canceled their option on carrying future games. It was a $550 million contract. There's a question of who backed out or whether that was truly both sides backing out. But now there's a massive issue in front of Major League Baseball, and that is where it impacts the Mariners, is the trickle down on the amount of money that will be distributed to franchises like the Mariners. We've talked at length on this show about Root Sports and the financial challenges with Root Sports, how that's tied into the Mariners payroll. I'm just going to read a couple of synopsis or a couple of paragraphs here from this work from Jared Diamond and Isabella Simonetti at the Wall Street Journal, talking about how Rob Manfred, the Major League Baseball commissioner, is now trying to figure out how to financially make this work. If he can get a bigger number than that $550 million from ESPN, it sounds like ESPN only wanted to go to $200 million a year. So that gives you an idea on just the return on the investment for ESPN, they believe, at that number. So under the current system, the league sells the rights to nationally televised regular season and playoff games like that inventory that ESPN is relinquishing and divides the revenue amongst all 30 teams. Baseball teams get about an average of 25% of their revenues from local media, by far the most of any major American sport. So that is why these issues with Root Sports and regional sports networks impact the Mariners, right? When we talk about the payroll. So the league is left now to find a new national broadcast partner or partners for the 26 through 28 seasons. Manfred's model, and this is where it gets really interesting, it would require teams to cede control of their local rights. So the league office can sell them collectively as a unified streaming package. Viewers would be able to purchase the games of teams they want to see without the blackouts.
Right.
That have been a problem for people who live near where the favorite team plays. And that's where the Mariners are essentially saying, no more Root Sports. We're handing it over to Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is going to sell it. Major League Baseball is going to try and get a number and then split it amongst 30 teams. But teams like the Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, the Cubs, they all have nice local media packages.
Yeah.
So you'd be asking them to give that up as well.
I don't think they're going to do so very easily.
No.
Especially the Dodgers. I mean, $2 billion, right? With Time Warner Sports.
And the Brewers would, be a team that would gain the most from an overhaul. It would allow them to sign certain players, and it would actually probably impact the Yankees and Dodgers in a different way. The Dodgers, you were just signed a 25-year, $8.35 billion local TV deal with Time Warner Cable in 2013. They have the payroll now of $400 million this season. So that gives you an idea of the disparity. And, ESPN giving that up at that number. Right now, the only thing that Major League Baseball has lined up, Apple paying $85 million a year for a package of Friday night games.
Yeah. Mariners round twice that year.
And Roku, $10 million a year for Sunday games. That's not a lot of money distributed amongst all the.
I think there's going to be a buyer somewhere, right?
You would think, but I mean, boy, that is. I mean, you want to talk about just the landscape changing for all these Major League Baseball franchises, including the Mariners, who are trying to figure out payroll, and are we going to keep up with the Yankees and the Dodgers? I mean, that's a lot of money there.
That's a scary proposition. That's like, well, I don't have a good analogy off the top of my head, but it's like driving down the highway with no exit in sight, and you're like, the gas meter's at empty.
Yeah.
Is that a good analogy?
Well, and you're trying to budget out multiple years.
Right.
In advance.
Yeah. I don't, I think they'll figure it out. How often do you really run out of gas on the highway? Figure it out, but scary.
Well, and this all transitions. This is what we call a TV transition into what we like to talk about every week, the Supersonic Minute. That will eventually be the air horn played.
And Squatch?
Yeah, with Squatch coming down from the ceiling. So as far as the situation with the Sonics, with TV digital rights, we know we've talked about it at length. That deal got settled with the NBA. A legal settlement with Warner Brothers Discovery. There was an interesting story that popped up, and it goes back to local media rights. James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks and the Rangers, he also owns Madison Square Garden Network, the Sphere in Las Vegas, is considering bankruptcy with that entity because of local media rights and cutting the cord and streaming and the revenue in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of the people that has reportedly been kind of pushing back against any future expansion of the NBA. That is a story worth watching, is if Madison Square Garden, MSG, has any sort of financial issues, does a guy like Dolan, who has been skeptical about expansion suddenly look at an expansion check and say, yeah, that might cure some problems.
Yeah, $8 billion divided by 30 teams.
Yeah,
I'm no math major.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so it's something worth watching as we continue to watch the story of the Sonics return. And you talked to a legendary Sonic at the Sports Star of the Year.
You know what? Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about Sports Star of the Year awards. You talk about the celebration of athletes like we did a moment ago. But you're also talking about some real legends being there and how cool it was to see Gary Payton, Marshawn Lynch, all those guys. But we are talking about the glove.
Yep.
I had no problem talking with the glove. In fact, he was there when the dinner started and they're trying to rush him off. I was like, no, I got to talk to Niko first. And I'm like, year made, right? So it was a brief catch up. I wanted to preface that because he did have to get to dinner. So we only talked about, maybe 3 different things. And I kept it to just a couple minutes so he could enjoy his food before going on stage. But let's check out my conversation with Gary Payton. And let's get right to it, Gary, that we see you walking through the hallway. Everybody still thinks about your playing days and loves that. And you pay it back forward as well. So how great is it to see that support and how are you able to give that back in our community as well?
Well, it's always good to give back to the community because this community gave to me. I didn't become a Hall of Famer or a top 75 just because I was there. I was here in this city for 13 straight years. My kids was born and raised here. Everything. It's just a real rich history. Every time I come back here, I'm always warm welcome. I walk down the street, I can't get where everybody's hipping and hollering and doing things. Sean is still here. Detlef is still here. They're 2 of my best friends. I come here all the time to visit them. And it's just a great feeling. This is home number 2. That's all it is. This is what it is. We never should have lost our basketball team. When it comes back, I'll be here on a regular basis. So it's just great for me to be here because this is home number 2.
And we know you're so plugged in on that when it comes to potential return of the Sonics. What are you hearing on that? We know Adam Silver talked about some roadblocks there, but I always tell fans just keep the faith, right?
Right. Well, we don't have to worry about roadblocks. Adam Silver does what he has to do. He's running an organization, one of the best organizations in the world. He has to do what he has to do. He's trying to figure it out for us, doing it, but he still works for all the owners, the governors. They got to make it right for all the 2 teams to come back in and add. I think that'll come pretty soon, and I know it will. And then one of them teams is going to be Seattle. I know it has to be, and I think that's going to be great for our city. We'll get to see Sean and Detlef get their numbers raised in the Raptors, and that's what I'm waiting for, and that's what I'm here for.
And we'll get to see you a lot more often.
See me a lot more often, and then we'll be here, and we're going to get this going back and jumping back the way it was when the Sonics was in the 90s with us. That's what we want. We wanted to get back to that tradition.
And I'll leave you with your son wearing the Sonics warm-up. How cool is that?
It was great. They told me, and I got there too late. I got there right after he was shooting with it. But he sent me the picture, and, it's great to be a dad. It's great to be a dad and see that and see my son represent me the way he did. And then I had to get on him. He stole my jersey. He stole one of my things from 30 years ago. But it's his, and he deserves it.
Gary Payton, what a treat anytime we get to talk, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Always great. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. The glove.
Always good, the glove. He, by the way, he looks good. He looked good in that light blue suit.
He did, and I love that he had fun with his son wearing his old warm-up jersey from 35 years ago. That was cool, and I just love that he promises he's going to be around a lot more when the Sonics come back, and that's just it. Gary he wants to be involved when that franchise, I'm going to say when for now, he wants to be involved with it. When, who wouldn't, I suppose, but Gary would bring a lot to that organization, and he's doing all the right things. He's saying all the right things, and he fully expects it to happen, and I hope he's right.
Well, he was in town to introduce Marshawn Lynch, who was honored as the humanitarian at that award ceremony. Kind of a fun conversation on stage that we saw there live, but 2 Oakland guys and Gary Payton and Marshawn Lynch, and I think it has been fun to see Marshawn's evolving, his personality evolving over time and getting that recognition, because he does, and I can say this for a fact, he has done a lot of that humanitarian work without cameras around or anybody there taking photos. Also at the Sports Star, you talked to a guy who was the Washington State University athletic director, and then he went to the University of Washington, Pat Chun.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on at UW, right? I mean, you talk about in just the last 18 months, he's the 3rd athletic director. I think he's the stability, though. New football coach, new men's basketball coach, new conference. Is that all?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things going on, but one of my favorite topics that we talked about he brought it up was the pending legislation when it comes to NIL. And I love what he had to say about that. We're going to bring that to you right after this.
Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, Seattle's closest sportsbook, is your place for a true in-game betting experience. Download the Snoqualmie Casino Sportsbook app to get in on the action while watching your favorite games at Snoqualmie Casino. Details at snowcasino.com. Seattle's closest sportsbook, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
We're here with Pat Chun, Director of Athletics at UW, and first of all, a lot of Huskies nominated. How special is it to see that recognition for all of your athletic programs?
Well, we're proud of all the accomplishments of all of our student athletes. It's a fun night for Seattle. It's fun to see our athletes get accolades in such a town that values sports, and it's just cool to be in this. This ecosystem is pretty unique. I mean, every sport is represented, from every type of professional sport, college sport. So it's a fun night, but it'll be cool to see if we get some of these Huskies to take some hardware home.
For me, on the outside perspective, I really look at that as like a celebration of all your sports, and speak to the pride of that part of it.
Yeah, well, the history of our program speaks for itself, but you can't argue with the performance of our student athletes. We were one of only 2 athletic departments in the entire country this past fall where every team sport made postseason. We just last quarter had our highest grade point average in school history. So our young people want to compete. It's a different world for us in the Big Ten. Our platform is bigger, our reach is bigger, the competition's tougher, but our young people seem to thrive. The harder the waters get, the more they want to swim and attack it.
And that's just, and what a year of change, right? Yeah. Whether it's from your perspective or those student athletes, to see it thriving in this way after what's been a wild year plus. What does that say about this university athletic department?
Yeah, well, I mean, young people persevere. Like people ask me about the travel in the Big Ten. Yeah, I don't bounce back from a multiple time zone trip, but our young people do. I mean, you put a task in front of our programs, and they're going to figure out a way to try to be the best they're supposed to be, and change is constant. We got a new president coming at UW. This House settlement that got preliminary approval, that's on the horizon of hopefully getting approved. So change is constant in our environment.
How much will the legislation that just got approved and might go through, how much of a game changer would that be? Because it's kind of the Wild West right now with everything.
It is the Wild West. The reality, it'll kind of put a pause in the system. We'll be in this revenue sharing, salary cap, roster cap, real fair market, name, image, likeness world. How we adapt to that. I mean, we've put in a lot of time, a lot of work in. I mean, I'm fortunate to be surrounded by a really great set of professionals and coaches inside of our athletic department. So, when this thing sets forward, we believe we'll be ready at the UW.
One thing that always strikes me when I see you say playing at Rutgers or Penn State is, maybe it's a tough flight, but you're spreading the brand of UW. And certainly it's always been across the country, right? Yeah. But how special is that part of it?
Well, we just had Big Ten AD meetings, and I think with the top 100 games, I think the total is like over 400 million viewers watched Big Ten football this last year. So it's part of the reason why the decision was made is we want young people that want to play on the biggest stages, that when you come to Washington, you want to play on the biggest stages, and the Big Ten does put us on the biggest stages.
That's just it, too. We talk about this new year, the foundation being laid down, whether it was some of your first-year coaches or whether it was just this first year in this new world. Yeah. How do you analyze and how do you take a look at that sort of thing?
Well, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, going back to being in the Big Ten, I think we had our first sellout in women's volleyball history. I think we had our biggest crowd we've had for women's gymnastics. We sold out when we retired Kelsey Plum's jersey, had a huge crowd for the USC game. It's fun watching sports change right before our eyes. The platform, some of our college athletics is growing and growing, and we're proud of the fact that Washington is at the forefront of all of that.
So after all the change we just talked about, how good do you feel moving forward as we get further away from that first year about the future of UW athletics?
I feel really good. The student athletes we have on our campus that represent us in our jerseys, the coaches that are leading and mentoring our young people, the staff of people that I'm fortunate to work with and work for. We are very, very excited about what's ahead of us, and we're ready to embrace all the challenges as well.
Well, let's hope some gold comes home with some of you have so many nominees here tonight. That's really cool to see.
Gold for the purple and gold, so go Huskies. Yeah.
See what I did there?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Pat Chun, we appreciate you. Thank you
you
so much. Chris, I want to shed a little light. First of all, what a great conversation with Pat, right? I want to shed some light. So he comes up in that really nice sport jacket that everybody saw, and you're like, oh, that's crimson in there, right? He's like, no, it's purple. I was like, I think it's purple, but I couldn't really tell in that dark room. That was hilarious.
Yeah, no, it did look like a crimson and gray jacket. And he assured me that actually was a hint of purple.
But, I've always respected and loved Pat Chun because he's really down to earth. A lot of folks in that position are very, it's like you're not talking to a regular person.
Yeah.
And for all the things he has to oversee and how proud he is of all those Husky programs, it's like you're just having a conversation with good friends. So I appreciate Pat's time. And certainly I promise you he'll be on the show again at some point in the future. No question about it.
He is a friend of the show. He's sat down with us before. And also one of the things that we like to talk about, and we teased it off the top, an exciting new element to the World Cup in 2026. Seattle has its own song. Did you know this, Niko?
I
didn't know this was coming. So FIFA World Cup 2026 has now released what they're calling, and I don't know why it's called this, the Sonic ID theme. Not related to the Sonics of NBA history.
That's what threw me off when I first saw it, yeah.
So Sango, local artist, has produced this song that includes Seattle's distinct vibe. I'm reading straight from the press release.
Okay.
Seattle's distinct vibe and cultural essence, and is part of an anthology, one for each of the 16 host cities, celebrating the diversity, creativity, and unifying power of sport through music. Sango and FIFA have now released this song on every major audio platform. And Sango, by the way, hey, Seattle-based producer. He's produced for all sorts of people and remixes for Drake, Nas, and The Weeknd. He started doing it at age 12. Should we hear his music?
Let's do it.
So there you go. That's hey, let's get some crowd noise. Let's get some applause. There we go.
It kind of reminds me of like the opening of like a TV broadcast work. So well done. Like it gets you in like a pregame vibe.
Yes. Sure. So that is something that you will hear on a repeat, like music to pump you up as you're walking into the stadium, into Lumen Field for the World Cup in 2026. That is what FIFA is calling a Sonic ID, a theme. And there are 16 of them, one for every city. There's more of a country twang for Dallas. I heard some birds in the background there for this remix. But that is one of the things that is now being released as we get closer and closer to World Cup 2026.
It is off the field and off the court.
Yeah, and
I like it.
In your ears. And in your ears.
In your ears. That was I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool.
Well, Sports Star of the Year. Any final thoughts?
Let's make this my final buzzer.
Wait, let me find the buzzer. There we go. The buzzer.
We need a new buzzer, Bill.
Boy, that buzzer.
I'm going to say this. Sports Star of the Year awards. And we've said this on this show before. If you're not familiar with it, make sure you check it out next year. You missed this year, but what an amazing thing. And I don't think it gets the due credit among the general public. I mean, we certainly have mentioned it as much as we can on this show and things of that sort, but it's a really special event celebrating the best in Seattle. And I think that when you're sitting there, and you're not just talking about the award winners and nominees, as amazing as they all are, you're talking about looking around the room, you're talking about the charitable endeavors that they feature at the dinner. You look no further than Marshawn Lynch winning the Humanitarian Award. Look no further than Freddie Couples inducted by Jim Nance with the Legends Award, right?
That was good stuff.
Amazing. It's an event that I hope people who listen to this show really give it its due credit next year. I know we love it. I can't wait for next year already. Kudos to Mara Mote. Kudos to Beth Knox, the entire crew at the Seattle Sports Commission. They're just, they're great people, and they put on a heck of a show, as we saw.
The ESPYs of Seattle is what I think it has been
called.
Yeah. And again, to the credit of the people over at the SSC, I mean, this was an event that when it was held at Benaroya, it was kind of topping out at 400 or 500 people. It's doubled in size. It has continued to grow, outgrow the event's spaces that it's been in before. And this time it was at the brand new Summit Convention Center, the brand new convention center extension down in downtown Seattle. Looked great. And I think potentially it will grow again as we go into 2026.
I can't wait for that.
In advance of the World Cup.
Wow. So much going on.
So much going on, but that's it for this week. David Lee, take us out.
You've been listening to Inside the Arena with Niko and Chris. Please subscribe on your favorite platform. Until next time.
Inside the Arena was presented by Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, Seattle's closest sports book.